They say the third time is the so we gonna get it right. Yo, and the story goes a little something like this. A man in this music producing these hits. Units, yeah, we moving them quick. Doing this shit. You other rappers mad, heard a few of them quick. Joe P's got something up your sleeve. Believe we got some hot shit. This my expertise. You didn't get hurt, please stop joking. This ain't chronic, I'm not joking. Confiscate the weed and let the cops smoke it. Blow it away. And when we finish up in Dago, it's a show in the bay. Okay, we have to mopay. In the way, no Mr. Nice Guy, different display, inflict him with pain. Boy, give it to him raw, fuck, hit him in the jaw. The shit is bigger than before. Man, you suckers ain't messing with this. Consecutive chips, I bet he was pissed. We can settle it quick. Y'all can't fuck with that. He's pounded, streets crowded. Yo, what's up in the back?
And Joe the Shirt is once again off the cuff. Welcome back, everybody. Good to be back so soon after just, what, was 2 days ago I did my last show? It was Wednesday. That being the day of our Lord, I think the 9th. Today being the day of our Lord, April 11th, 2014. Welcome back, everybody. So good to be back, and so quickly. You know, like I said, I'm getting used to the timing in my schedule. You know, so I'm getting better at it. You know, I'm not as wasted in the afternoon as I used to be. And by wasted, I don't mean like drunk or high. I mean just so tired from getting up, you know, so early to go to work, and then in the afternoon I'm wasted, I'm tired. You know, that's all there is to it. But welcome back. This is Joe the Shirt's Off the Cuff. I am your host, Joe the Shirt. It is my job to be off the cuff for you guys. Not that I get paid for it. I do this just for fun, just for you, and just for me. Today's topic is called In Chris Paul We Trust. Or maybe not. I'm bringing into question once again whether or not Los Angeles is a good sports town or not. And I think the answer is actually a little bit of both. It's a little bit of yes and a little bit of no. It really is. Or a lot of bit of yes and a lot of bit of no. Like I said, this is not typically a sports show, but this story truly grabbed me because I'm a big basketball fan. I love basketball. It's my favorite sport of all time. I love to play it. I love to watch it. And I love to discuss it. Right now, the hottest team in LA is not the Lakers. Okay? As a matter of fact, the Lakers are currently on their worst season ever as the Los Angeles Lakers. Okay? We're talking the worst season ever. Not only did they tie the worst season ever, they've surpassed it. They are the worst Laker team in Los Angeles ever. Okay, let me put it this way: my girlfriend and I, the Russian, we were watching a game the other day between the Clippers and the Lakers, and the Clippers routed those bitches. And they announced the starting five for the Clippers. You know, you had Chris Paul, you had Blake Griffin, you had Crawford, you had DeAndre Jordan. You know, great, awesome. They announced the first starting five for the LA Lakers. I did not recognize a single fucking name. Okay. No Kobe Bryant, no Steve Nash, no Pau Gasol. It was just a bunch of really bench players for the most part. You know, who I'm sure are awesome players in their own right, just players we don't know about because everybody just keeps paying attention to, you know, Kobe Bryant and Steve Nash and Pau Gasol and all that. Chris Kaman, who is still also a very good player, but, you know, a bit beyond his prime, which is what you can say about the Lakers in general. I mean, I think the average age at the Lakers is like, I don't know, 100. Or it just feels that way. As far as being a basketball player, you might as well be 100. When your top starters are almost 40 years old, your team is fucking old. Okay. And the problem with that is that they've never been a team that works well as a team. They depended more on their individual talents rather than playing together, which is in complete opposition to, say, the San Antonio Spurs, who are also a fucking old-ass team, but those guys always played together as a team. Okay, they always trusted each other. They always worked with each other. They always encouraged each other, and you never saw them bickering with each other. You never saw one player saying that this guy wasn't passing the ball or that guy was lazy on defense. No, these guys were always together. They're always playing together, and that's a great team right there. And that's why San Antonio is the number one team in the NBA right now. Anyway, back to Chris Paul. Chris Paul and his Los Angeles Clippers represent the best opportunity this year that Los Angeles has for a championship. Chris Paul is the captain of the Los Angeles Clippers. He is a fantastic player. I think pound for pound, the best point guard in the game right now. Maybe in pound for pound, he is the best point guard in the game right now. Okay, he's fast. He has got eyes in the back of his head. He knows how to read the floor, and he knows how to get the ball to where it needs to be. And even better yet, he knows how to score on his own. He knows how to go off the ball on his own. Okay, and they are the number 3 team, not in the West. They're the number 3 team in the entire league. Okay. There's San Antonio, there's OKC, and then there's the Clippers. The Clippers are the number 3 team in the entire league. Third best record in the league. And a lot of that has got to do with Chris Paul. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because recently, Chris Paul, he's an LA guy now. He's trying to be, he's not from here, but, he's trying to be from here. He went to Dodger Stadium for opening day. We figure, a little show of support. Maybe he's a big baseball fan. Who knows? And he goes there, and then they show him up on the big screen, the Jumbotron. They show, oh, look, it's Chris Paul, the L.A. Lakers. And you know what Chris Paul got? He got this. Boo, 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 boo. Dodger fans. Los Angeles fans were booing Chris Paul. Why? They interviewed a few of the people that were booing him, and they said, well, because he's not a Laker. Okay, people, just so we're on the same page here, let me reiterate, the Lakers currently suck. Okay, there's no two ways about it. Yeah, they either suck or they don't suck, and right now they suck. Okay, Kobe Bryant's Lakers they're old, dude. They're fucking old. And Kobe's a greedy little bitch. He took a $25 million pay hit this year. The Lakers agreed to pay for it. I don't fucking know why. And honestly, they really should have just traded him and gotten the cap space. Or Kobe, who keeps saying that he's such a team player and it's all about the team and not about himself. I don't know, maybe he could have done what some players in, say, San Antonio did and defer their big fat paychecks so they can make cap space to bring in newer, younger players that they can play with. No, Kobe didn't do that. Instead, they got bloated salaries for a bunch of other players that they didn't need, that were beyond their prime. And then here we are in Los Angeles booing the best player in town who has a very good chance of bringing another championship to Los Angeles and bringing the very first Clippers championship to Los Angeles. This is why I've always kept saying that, for all the great teams that have played in Los Angeles, like the Lakers, like the Rams, like the Clippers, like the Kings, like the Ducks, like the Dodgers, like the Angels, LA does not deserve good teams. Okay, that's what I'm saying. They don't deserve it, but not for the reasons you might think. One of the reasons I've always thought that LA doesn't deserve great players is because my girlfriend and I, we used to go to Clippers games. We'd go like 2 or 3 a year. Because I've been a big Clippers fan pretty much as long as I've been in Los Angeles. Because when I first got here, it was just too easy to be a Laker fan. So I figured I'm going to root for the underdog and see how the team develops. And I've watched them develop, and now they're blossoming. And it's just awesome to watch. But now, where I used to go to say 2 or 3 games a year, I can't afford to go to 1 game a year. I do not want to pay, $200 to sit in the nosebleeds with an obstructed view. I used to pay $35. I'd be down in the lower levels. I'd be watching a great game. And more often than not, the games I went to, the Clippers won, which was, an added bonus. But even if they lost, I still would have stayed and watched till the end and not leave, midway through the third quarter, like so many LA fans do. So, I honestly, the reason that we don't have an NFL team, we don't deserve one, And then what happens is when a team does start to do well, like the Clippers are doing right now, it's not the fans that are buying out all the tickets. No. It's a lot of these Hollywood scumbags, these record label scumbags, these show business scumbags that are buying up all the great tickets so they can impress all their friends that are coming into town from, so they can make wheel and deals, and say, hey, look, I got Laker tickets, I got floor seats, I got this, I got that, and I bought like 3 rows, I bought a box seat or, a booth or whatever, and then they show up a half hour late, they leave a half hour early, and then at the end of the game, while you're up there in the nosebleeds, you can't see the game all that well, but you can see all the empty seats in the lower levels. So, yeah, booing Chris Paul. Wow, what a bunch of bitches this town is full of. Oh, okay, we're going to get some more serious stories in a minute, but let's do some lighter ones. I don't know if any of you have ever gone cow tipping. I don't advocate cow tipping. I think cow tipping is stupid, and I think it's cruel. But for those of you who are not familiar with it, cow tipping is when usually young people in rural areas, farm areas, ranching areas, get really drunk, really high because they're really bored, decide, let's go out to a field where there's a bunch of cows who are sleeping, sneak up on them, and push them over. Because cows sleep standing up, you can just walk up to a cow, if you got enough people with you, and just push her over. And she will just fall over as if she was like, a piece of furniture, because she's not awake. She's not going to brace herself. She's just going to tip right the fuck over. And then you knock her over, and then, you laugh your ass off. I believe this is incredibly cruel. It's mean. It's stupid. I mean, let's face facts. You are trying to sneak up on a cow. It doesn't take much to sneak up on a cow. I've been on farms. I'm a grandfather at farms. I've worked farms. I've milked a cow. You don't have to sneak up. I mean, honestly, you could play AC/DC behind you, and that little bitch is still going to ignore your ass. She doesn't care. But here we have, teenagers, almost adults, drunk and high, bored, and sexually frustrated, I'm guessing, sneaking up on a cow, a bovine, pushing it and knocking it over. Which may sound pretty much harmless to you, but the fact of the matter is most of the time these cows, a lot of times they end up cracking their ribs, they get severely injured, sometimes to the point where they need to be put down because there's no way of really fixing them. They can break a leg as well, and then, and also if they are injured to the point where they can't stand up, milking them or having them be milked by their calves is next to impossible. So they begin to swell up with milk to the point that it becomes painful, and they can die from it. So, honestly, you know what? You're never going to impress me by tipping a cow. You want to impress me? Go bull tipping. Come back to me when you go bull tipping, all right? It's a completely different experience, I'm willing to bet. Now, the average cow weighs about 1,400 pounds. The average bull weighs about 2,300 pounds. And they don't have a gigantic set of tits underneath them to slow them down. Really, if you can sneak up on a bull, bully for you. Seriously. Now, you and your buddies, you're drunk, you're high, you're sexually frustrated. You go ahead. You go up, you sneak up on the bull. And really, if you can sneak up on him, I'm impressed. And you knock him over. You go ahead. You tip that bull. And you better pray that your friends are slower than you are when it comes to running. Because a bull doesn't give a flying fuck if he has a cracked set of ribs. He's coming after your ass. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I talking about cow tipping? Well, that leads into our next segment, and I'll be right back with that. Today's music is brought to you by IZM. That was their first song, Can't Fuck With That. This is their next song by IZM, Soldiers March. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff. I'll be right back.
Soldiers march, ease up, fall back, know your place, fuck, I don't give a care what you feel, 60% of y'all don't know the deal, assume what you want. Rock and roll, R&B, hip-hop too, my gospel, heavy metal, I'm down, laid back like acoustic, so sick, flow ferocious, right here's something to vomit, okay, to swallow it down. Word from official taster, prankster, fuck around the Harlem, shake you, leave ya, wouldn't wanna fucking be ya. Last place seen is last place you lean. I mean, I'm a mean nigga, rap shit, aggressive, impressive. If you ask me, to the cold chill, it's real. I'm something to feel. Fuck a spoon, have a fork and plate. Just eat, take a stab at it. Your flow's not quite. I laugh at it.
And Joe the Shirt is once again off the cuff. Welcome back. I was talking about cow tipping. The point of that being I want to introduce car tipping. This is a new thing going on here. Apparently, you've all seen the smart cars. You know, little itty-bitty, teeny-tiny cars. They're cute. They're colorful. You know, me and my girlfriend, we like to put them on our tree for Christmas. But they are small. I mean, so small that for years I've been saying the joke. You know, wouldn't it be? Have you ever seen a smart car and just said to yourself, "I bet I could tip that fucker over"? I mean, you got to think to yourself. You thought to yourself a couple of times, you know what? If I put my back into it, I bet I could tip that fucker over. Well, apparently, people have taken the idea and put it to real world use. There's a story out of San Francisco where people dressed up in black hoodies, anywhere between 6 to 8 individuals, attacking smart cars and tipping them over on their sides, on their backs, or on their roofs, on their ends. You know, they just take the car, tilt it over, and just, you know, knock it over. Now, I mean, you may remember that I mentioned that it takes, the average cow weighs about 1,400 pounds. The average smart car weighs about 1,800 pounds. So, easily quite doable. All right, especially if you consider what a short wheelbase that the average smart car has and how tall it is in comparison to its wheelbase. So, yeah, 6 to 8 people could do it. You know, maybe 3 or 4 really big guys could probably do it as well. But no, and this is causing damage to the cars. In some cases, the cars have been totaled for the amount of damage that was done to them. And that's just, you know, people tipping them over. In Amsterdam, people have been picking them up and dumping them into rivers. Which, I gotta admit, that'd be quite a hit and a half to your ass if you wake up one day, you know, you're waking up, you're like, okay, gotta get to work. Okay, let me unlock my car and turn off the alarm. And you're expecting to hear that, and then you keep pressing your key button there, and you don't hear anything. Unless, of course, you live nearby a river and you see your car floating along. You know what? That's the action of an asshole. I mean, that's just stupid vandalism. You know, I'll be the first one to tell you, yes, I do think it's funny. I fucking do. I really do. I think it's funny, but I still think it's wrong to do. You know, you shouldn't go around tipping over people's cars just because you can. You know, that's like, say, throwing oranges at a retard. You can do it. He's probably not going to notice the difference, but you shouldn't do it anyway. Okay. The other day I was talking about, at the end of the show, I was talking about how in Colorado, you know, they've legalized marijuana for recreational use, and that's awesome. Good for Colorado. But apparently police officers need to be trained in how to recognize a stoned driver. Because, you know, they've been trained on drunk drivers. and how to, spot them. They're usually the guys with their car wrapped around a tree. But apparently they were not trained in how to spot stoned drivers, which I thought was a little ridiculous. I mean, how could you not train your police force to know who stoned drivers are? The idea being that now that, pot is legal, there's going to be a big outbreak of people driving while stoned. And I'm here to tell you, I seriously doubt any more people are driving stoned than there were before when it was illegal. Because I've been stoned many times, and when I'm stoned, all I want to do is either watch cartoons or fuck. The last thing I ever want to do is get into a car, because then I find myself doing 10 miles an hour thinking I'm doing 90. So no. Nobody really wants to get into the car when they're stoned, especially not on modern marijuana, which is as potent as flying fuck. So no. But what I think interesting is that you got to train police officers to see the signs of a stoned driver. Could you imagine that? Cop pulls you over, you're stoned. He comes up to you. He needs to figure out whether or not you're stoned. It's like, excuse me, sir. How are you doing tonight? What's up? I'm cool, man. I'm cool. No, I'm cool. Yes, sir, I heard that. You are cool. Thank you. Do you know why I pulled you over? What? Sir, do you know why I pulled you over? Was I going too fast? No, sir, you were doing 2 miles an hour. How'd you know it was me? Sir, where are you? Where are you on your way to? 7-Eleven, McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, and... Did I say 7-Eleven? Yes, you did. 7-Eleven, McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts. It's not that hard to tell, okay? You gotta train these guys. Seriously. Actually, a big story that comes out of Colorado right now is, it's legal now, to smoke weed, to have marijuana for recreational use in Colorado. But there was a recent death, which is very unusual when it comes to marijuana. A young man by the name of Levi Thamba, 19-year-old college student from Africa, had checked into the 4th floor room of a hotel with 3 of his buddies. Now, he had never had marijuana before. But somebody said, hey, it's legal here. Let's have fun. Let's get high. And they got a marijuana cookie from a local pot shop. And he ate it. And then he began to get paranoid and hostile and started tearing up the room, going a little nutty. And then on March 11th, Mr. Levi Thamba jumped off the balcony to his death. It was noted that he died from injuries sustained from the fall, but it was also noted that it was linked, his fall, his death, his suicide was linked to marijuana intoxication. Now, this is coming from a guy who had no history of mental problems or issues or suicidal tendencies, but decided to kill himself by throwing himself off a balcony. They're calling it the incident of the state's first marijuana-related death since Colorado legalized sales of recreational marijuana to those over 21. Of course, he was 19, so he shouldn't have had it in the first place. But then again, Lord knows, kids under 21 have been drinking booze since time immemorial in this country. Now, I will say this. I'm a big fan of pot. I'm a big fan of legalizing pot. I think it's way less dangerous overall than smoking cigarettes, than drinking booze. Definitely a lot safer than, say, your average heroin or methamphetamine day or cocaine. But I will say this. I have had edible marijuana before. Cookies, lollipops, brownies, candy bars, what have you. And I will say this. it's a very, very different type of high. And for people that are uninitiated in it, it can produce a very bad trip for you. Because when you smoke weed, it hits you immediately. Boom, you're there, you're high, you're set. And then you have a good time, you get the giggles, you get horny, you watch cartoons, you go to Dunkin' Donuts, 7-Eleven, and McDonald's, and you get your munchies, you eat it, and then you come down, you have some water, and then you go to sleep. But whereas the problem is with edible marijuana, the brownies and cookies and such, is you eat it, and a half hour later, you're still not feeling anything. So you eat some more because you want to rush it, and that's not the way it works. And then before you know it, you've eaten, 3 or 4 times the recommended amount because you don't feel high. And then all of a sudden you feel super duper duper whooper high all at once. And this has happened to me where I've been paranoid. I've been anxious. I've been unable to sleep and found myself in a fog for the next 24 hours where I could barely hear myself, much less other people. I had a friend of mine who was smoked a lot of weed, taken a lot of drugs, drinks a lot of alcohol all his life. And I had a brownie that I had gotten from friends of mine who I knew the brownie was incredibly, incredibly potent. And I told him, look, if you want to get high, eat a quarter of it. If you want to get really high, eat half. He pops the whole thing in his mouth, eats it in one big shot. He was high for the next week. And he said he had never experienced anything like that. He said it could not get the high to let go of him. And this is the dangers of, I just farted. This is the danger of edible marijuana, is that it's a delayed reaction. So you take more of it because you want to try to speed it up, which is not the way it works. And then it hits you, and then it holds on. We're talking like sometimes a good... I think it's my phone, my girlfriend's phone. I'm not sure what's going on. But it hits you like a brick, and then it stays with you. For my remembrance of it, a minimum of 8 to 12 hours, sometimes longer. I'm going to wait till that finishes ringing. It's almost done. I know it is. So, and then, yeah, for somebody that's never taken it and has never been high before, yeah, that can definitely do a number on you. I think this is an extremely rare case. I don't think this is typical of people that have edible marijuana. Yes, you do get paranoid, you do get anxious, you do feel uncomfortable, and you do beg the gods to please let the high stop so you can stop being paranoid. But, I think that they're going to try to make this case much bigger than it actually is. I do agree with them that, that studies need to be made into edible marijuana so that you can assess the real risk factors, the real high factors, because like I said, it's not like smoking at all. And unlike when you smoke it, like I said, it stays in you, not just when it's going through your intestinal tract and your stomach, but even when you start to go to the bathroom, you start to go to number 2. You got to remember, your butt is a membrane inside there. So when you're pooping that undigested marijuana, it's getting reabsorbed into your body while you're taking a dump. So watch out for that. And I have a few more stories to go here. I'm having a good old time here on Joe the Shirt's Off the Cuff. This is more music by IZM. This is his song, Come and Get It, Girl. Must be his love song.
Come and get it, girl. Wow, look at his good. Spot him in the crowd. Diamond in the rough hood. My no sexy girl. Do you think it's your world? So thorough, so real. Down to earth looks to kill. Come and get it, girl. Why the getting's good. Spot him in the crowd. Diamond in the rough hood. My no sexy girl. Do you think it's your world? So thorough, so real. Down to earth looks to kill. Sure, you're right, girl. But do it right, girl. All night long, yeah. Don't you stop now. On and on, move. Show me something, prove it. From the looks of you, I know you can't do it. What you see, you get. Simply me, that's it. Not conceited, just molded in confidence. My 2 cents nonsense become, pay me homage. Enough respect due. This what you do. Go and get it, girl. Shake your body, world. All it together now. You know we better It's going down, round after round till last call for alcohol. Back to dance floor, what we here for? I'm closing this door. Been here before, begging for more. Aftermath, after sex, her leads next. Come and get it, girl. Water getting good. Spot 'em in the crowd, diamond in the rough hood. Model sexy girl, do your thing, it's your world. So thorough, so real, down to earth, looks to kill. Come and get it, girl. Water getting good. Spot 'em in the crowd, diamond in the rough hood. Model sexy girl, do your thing, it's your world. So thorough, so real, down to earth, looks to kill. Italiana, sweet like marijuana. Every time I see you, you looking finer. Like your whole attitude, bring good karma. Work hard, play hard, up the par, no drama. La 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 bomba, like the way you wind ya. Waist in the place, make them go eight from Ghana. Sexy ensemble, put minds on ponder. High energy, pumping from Milano up the Palmer. Back to the States to do what you gotta do. Move how you wanna move, eyes all azuri blue. Cream of the crop, men wanna rock you, lock you down. But they
The shirt is off the cuff. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, all right, moving on. I wanted to know, by any chance, is anybody here with Brigadier General Jeffrey A. Sinclair? Anybody familiar with this guy at all? Well, if you are a women's rights activist, a civil rights activist, somebody that's active in, say, the military in any way, you probably know about this guy quite a bit. Jeffrey Sinclair is a brigadier general who had an adulterous affair with somebody underneath his command, and allegedly he was threatening his lover, 34-year-old subordinate. According to her, Sinclair had threatened to kill his accuser, 34 years old, and her family if she exposed the affair, and had forced her to perform oral sex and engaged in open and notorious sex in a parked car and on a hotel balcony. The defense portrayed the accuser as an ambitious and flirtatious officer who enjoyed sex with a dynamic general, only to react in rage after discovering amorous messages to Sinclair from another female officer, and after realizing the general would not divorce his wife. Now, if you're unfamiliar with military rules of conduct, among them is when you're in the military, unlike being a civilian, it is illegal to have adulterous affairs. You're not allowed to cheat on your husband. You're not allowed to cheat on your wife. You're not allowed to have sex with somebody who has a wife or a husband. It is against the rules of conduct in the military. Accordingly, it's bad for morale, which is why it is frowned upon. Now, generally speaking, when these type of cases come up, the people involved almost never get into any real trouble unless they are found to be lying. Okay, so basically, person A is married, has an affair with person B, they have sex, and then somebody reports it, or the MPs find out about it, the military courts find out about it, and they go to A and B and they go, "Hey, A, did you have sex with B?" And A goes, "Yes, I did." "B, did you have sex with A?" And B goes, "Yes, I did." And they're like, "Okay, don't do it anymore." "All right, we won't." But if you go up to person A and say, "Person A, did you have sex with person B?" and person A goes, "No," and then they prove that you did, they're not so pissed off that you did have sex with person B. They're pissed off that you lied about it. They really get pissed off about that. Okay, and that is, reason enough for dismissal and even a prison term. Now, in this case, Brigadier General Jeffrey A. Sinclair was sentenced Thursday, are you ready for this? To a reprimand and no jail time for misusing his authority over a subordinate with whom he had a 3-year adulterous affair ending a tumultuous court-martial that focused national attention on the military's uneven response to sexual misconduct. A military judge ordered Sinclair, 51 years old, to forfeit $20,000 in salary and pay restitution of $4,156 for misusing his government charge card. But the former deputy commander of U.S. forces in southern Afghanistan will be allowed to retire and receive a pension and benefits at a rank to be determined by a military board. That's his punishment. You got it right there. The sentence allows Sinclair to remain in the Army. He's allowed to stay, he's allowed to retire, and receive his pension. Okay? He's a 27-year veteran of 5 combat tours, had faced life in prison if convicted on original charges that were dismissed this month as the case faltered of sexual assault, sodomy, and threatening to kill his lover. After entering a guilty plea on lesser charges, he faced up to 25 and a half years in prison, although prosecutors agreed to cap it at 18 months. Mind you now, even his lawyers were shocked that he got off so light. They were like, really? Now, according to the Pentagon, last year, an estimated 26,000 cases of unwanted sexual there was an estimated 26,000 cases of unwanted sexual contact. But of those, only 3,374 sexual assaults were reported. Also known as, mind you, it's still a 6% increase over the previous year. But when you really think about it, that's maybe 12, 13% of the total amount of assaults. This verdict also comes on the same day as a U.S. Naval Academy football player was found not guilty of sexually assaulting a female midshipman. Complicating the case was the difficulty of determining when a sexual adventure described in messages by both participants as exciting, fulfilling, allegedly turned into rape. Sinclair long admitted to the affair, but said it was consensual. Advocacy groups said no sexual contact between a senior commander and a junior officer can be consensual given a commander's absolute authority. So basically what they're saying is, if you are somebody's commander, the person in question, whether or not they're an adult, cannot give consent to a sexual relationship for fear that they be thinking that if they deny sexual consent, that they may be punished for such. Maybe they don't get promoted. Maybe they get sent on more dangerous missions. Maybe they get really shitty missions. Maybe they end up on desk duty the rest of their lives. And so the person feels that it's their best interest to have sex with their superior officer rather than, risk hurting their career. And thus why these rules of conduct are in place. I agree that it is never a good idea to involve yourself in a personal, sexual, romantic relationship with somebody that is your direct subordinate. But the question still really remains, did he really threaten to kill her and her family if she ended the relationship? Or was she truly, just lashing out at him because he wasn't going to leave his wife and he was also fucking around with other chicks? I don't know. But what I do know is that he's getting away pretty much scot-free here, all right? I mean, this is the kind of crime that these laws, that these rules were put into place to begin with. We live in a society, where we live in a he said, she said society. Look, I'll be the first one. I've always said it's not impossible that a woman is lying when she says that she was coerced or raped. It happens. It's been known to happen. But more often than not, that's not the case. More often than not, yes. The accuser is usually, in my opinion, in the right. If a woman says that she was raped by some guy, I'm more often than not willing to take her side on it, but it still needs to be proven. which is why I always have issues with whether or not somebody was too drunk to give consent or too drug-addled to give consent, which is the case of that Naval Academy student here. Former Navy football player was acquitted Thursday of sexually assaulting a female classmate at an alcohol-fueled off-campus party. After a 3-day trial, Marine Corps Colonel Daniel Doherty found Naval Academy midshipman Joshua Tate of Nashville not guilty of 1 count of aggravated sexual assault. Tate had faced up to 30 years in prison but chose to be tried by a judge rather than a military jury. Quote, "This case reflects that the military justice system remains badly broken," says Susan L. Burke, a lawyer who represents the female student, in the email. "Like so many survivors of sex crimes in the military, our client was twice victimized, first by her attacker and then by the failed investigation and prosecution of this case." Now, Tate was accused of having sex at the April 2012 party with a female classmate who was so drunk she could not have consented. Now, the female midshipman testified that she had been drinking rum and then went to a toga and yoga party at an off-campus house known to be used by football players at the academy in Annapolis. Males wore togas and females reportedly wore yoga pants. More than 100 people attended the party. There was heavy drinking at the party where the 20-year-old woman said she arrived already drunk. She testified that she may have been too drunk to stay conscious. The woman said that she learned of the sex act via social media the next day. She testified that she confronted Tate, who confirmed they had sex. Of course, he maintains that it was consensual. Okay. See, this is where it becomes a gray area for me because I know women who have had sex with men that were older than them, men that were in positions of authority over them, and by a lot of legal accounts, it could be considered statutory rape, coercion, and then I ask these women about these incidences, and they will tell you, oh no, it wasn't rape, it wasn't coercion, I wanted to do it. The fact that I was 14 and he was 27 doesn't make a difference. I knew what I was doing. But the law says at that age you are not mentally capable of it. But you talk to these women and they get angry at you. They got angry at me. I told these women, and I told them, look, you legally were raped. You were legally forced to have sex with somebody against your will, whether or not you understand what happened at the time. Okay, and then they would tell me, well, I'm an adult now. I understand what happened then. I was 14, he was 27. I was a little drunk, but I wanted to do it. And then you have the other sides of that story where people say, well, I was 14 and I was drunk, I didn't know what I was doing, and I was unconscious, and he took advantage of me, even though I took him to my room, and I let him upstairs. Where do you make that case exactly? In the case of this guy here, he's 51 years old, his subordinate is 34 years old. I would like to think that a 34-year-old woman that has a sexual affair with a man for 3 years, it's reasonably expected that she knows what's going on. Is it reasonable to expect that just because a guy asks you out who's your immediate superior, fuck it, maybe not even a guy. You are a private and your superior asks you out on a date. Is it right that you go out with them? Probably not. But be you a man or a woman, or they be a man or a woman, and they ask you out, and you say, no, thank you, I don't think it's a good idea, it's not professional, is it an automatic assumption that, your career is fucked because you told this person that I don't want to go out with you? I don't want to have sex with you. I mean, it's very rarely ever brought up like that. I mean, you know what? It's really unlikely that, guys are walking up to women and saying, hey, you can either blow me in the copy room or you're never going to get past this level of pay grade. That's not usually the way it goes, I don't think. I've known guys that have done these kind of things, and it's usually usually a lot more innuendo involved, and they tend to pick their targets rather well. But like I said, I don't put it beyond them, okay? I'm not saying that in the he said, she said world that he's always right or he's always wrong, or that she's always right or she's always wrong. What I'm saying is that you got to look at each case individually, and if you don't, if you're in the military, then you have to put a blanket statement across it. Because the truth of the matter is, yes, was he at fault by asking his subordinate out, to go out with him, to have sex with him? Yes, he was. But you know what? She was at fault as well for agreeing to it in the first place. You know, her responsibility in that situation was to tell him no, and if he persisted, would be to go up the chain of command. Of course, advocates will tell you, well, that just means that she would have gotten fucked twice. In any case, that is my time for today. Thank you for listening. I'm Joe the Shirt. Here's more IZM with My Time Now. It's over.